Welcome to Africa Insight. In this week's video, I'm joined by my colleague, Senior Economist Greg Struyweg, who is from our consulting team. So now Greg has been involved in a very interesting project with the Ugandan breweries and how it impacts Uganda's economy. Greg, can you tell us more about this study?
Thanks very much, Jervin. So Uganda Breweries came to us and asked us to do this study. So just for context, why they came to us for the study, Uganda Breweries operates in Uganda, of course, and Uganda's alcohol market is there's a large part of the market that is illicit, or you call it informal, non-tax paying market. It's about 67% of all the volume that is consumed in the market is actually non-tax compliant, with the rest then being the formal market. So as part of their engagement with key stakeholders and the government, they required an independent analysis of the market and of their contribution to the Ugandan economy. So that's why they came to us.
Okay.
And our analysis of their contribution focused on a number of different channels. So what we looked at is their direct operations, so that is the contribution they directly made to the Ugandan economy through their operations, the employees that they employ and the tax that they pay. But then the other impact that we also looked at is their indirect impact, so that would be from the local suppliers that they have, so other businesses that they buy goods and services from. So these businesses obviously benefit from Uganda Breweries buying goods and services from them, and that allows them to employ people and to also pay tax. And then the third channel would be the induced impact channel. So that is where the employees at Uganda Breweries and in their supply chain, they obviously earn wages, and those wages get spent in the economy of Uganda, in the consumer economy. So there's an impact there as well. And then finally, we looked at the downstream impact. So because Uganda Breweries is a manufacturer, their products get used downstream by other businesses, for example, wholesale and retailers, bars and restaurants. So they distribute the products and sell them. So there's an impact there as well, where there's a contribution. So all of this is taken together, where we looked in to say that this is the contribution that Uganda Breweries makes to the Ugandan economy.
Okay. That's quite interesting, Greg. I see you sort of touched on my next question, but I think we can maybe then bundle the next one, and the other question I had in mind is, you sort of touched on the findings. Would you maybe give us another one or two interesting tidbits about the findings and why this matters for Uganda's economy? Because obviously, just broadly speaking, from what you're saying is that the illicit market is reducing tax revenue collections, and obviously Uganda does have budgetary constraints as well, given all of its challenges. But yeah, could you just maybe briefly touch on that?
Yes, so that was one of the key findings of the study, is saying that there's a risk from this illicit market, and that we're seeing that it's continuing to grow, and manufacturers like Uganda Breweries are making a significant contribution to the economy, and that contribution is at risk if this illicit or informal market continues to grow. So the findings of the study was that overall these different impact channels that I've discussed earlier, that the total contribution they made to Uganda's economy in 2024 was around 1.12 trillion Uganda shillings, and that was about 4% of the manufacturing sector's output in that year. And then they employed themselves, and then through their different impact channels, that supported about 100,000 jobs in the economy, or that was about 2% of total formal employment. Then besides the formal jobs that they support, they also buy a lot of barley and sorghum and other inputs from local farmers, and specifically smallholder farmers, because the agricultural sector in Uganda is not very formal as of yet. So these smallholder farmers are supported by Uganda Breweries operations. That's about 35,000 farmers that are being supported across Uganda from UBL's operations. And then finally, the big thing would be the tax contribution. So in total, the tax contribution from Uganda Breweries operations was about 811 billion Uganda shillings, or about 2.7% of the fiscal contribution in that year. Now, from that contribution, about 77% of the tax contribution is just in product taxes, so that is stuff like excise and VAT. And that's the whole point of the study, saying that this tax is at risk from this informal or non-tax complying segment of the market. So the analysis was that the government is actually losing about 3 trillion Uganda shillings from the informal market and the fact that they're not paying taxes.
No, I think that's really, really interesting, and I think you've broken quite a complex thing down in how taxes work and how our consumption works together. I think that's it. Thanks, Greg. Thank you for joining Africa Insight this week. If you'd like more information on our products or services, please visit our website or socials.